Welcome back to another episode of Sibling Showdown. That's right, I'm with my sibling, my brother Steve, and we are talking the Showdown game of the week. And this week it is the Lions Vikings. So let me bring in my brother Steve. Steve, how are you doing? Are you ready to talk Showdown today?
Doing good, doing good. I think we got a fun one to talk about. So I'm looking forward to it.
Yeah, well, the thing I think is super interesting about this game in particular and this week in particular is, week 14 has 7 divisional matchups on the main slate. And that's a lot because, I don't know have the statistics of what they are going under this season, but they can go under a lot. They can be slugfests a lot of times. This is the one divisional matchup of all of them that is a bit appealing. It has a high total, I believe, about 52. Most books, 51 and a half, 52. So Vegas thinks there's going to be a lot of points. Certainly these defenses would suggest that there's going to be a lot of points in the offensive weapons. So this is one game where it could be a higher total. And I definitely think that that's why we picked it as it is one of the game of the week's showdowns on DraftKings. So there's still money to be made there on DraftKings. So that's why we're breaking it down for you guys. So before we get into it, be sure to like this episode, subscribe to the FanSpeak Network, check out fanspeak.com. We have articles every week for different types of daily fantasy articles, and check out our sponsors, Run the Sims. We're going to use Run the Sims to help us make our decisions on Showdown. They have a simulator that allows you to put in your own projections, as you'll see shortly, and it helps you kind of find the best captain and flex plays. So, Steve, before we go over to Run the Sims, any kind of overarching, ideas for this showdown, and who do you see winning?
So, it's interesting. I think Vegas actually has the Lions favored. Obviously, they are the home team. Vikings won this game when they met up earlier in the season, but Vegas does have the Lions favored. I know the Vikings are 9-0 in one-score games this year, and you think they will eventually, return to the mean on that. But I think they are the more talented team. I think there's really no question about that.
The Vikings, right?
The Vikings,
yeah.
So I'm going with the Vikings. I do think the Lions will be able to put up points. The Vikings defense has not been good this year. They've only held 3 teams under 20 points this year.
Right.
And one of those were the Dolphins when they were without Tua. So, teams, even, and they played some really bad teams. They, teams like the Patriots, the Bears, others are just putting up points on this defense. And we've seen the Lions, particularly at home, have no problem putting up points. So, and the reverse is true as well. Detroit has, been a little bit more up and down with their defense, but they give up mass amounts of points at times. And again, the Vikings have, a good veteran quarterback, maybe the best receiver in the league in Justin Jefferson, and a couple other good weapons as well. So, yeah, I think there's every reason to think that this game doesn't go like the first meeting and does have some real shootout potential.
Right. Okay. Well, what I'm going to do now is I'm going to, we already put our inputs in, but I'm going to head over to Run the Sims. So again, check out Run the Sims if you want to use these tools. And we are going to look at the inputs for this game. We already adjusted it to, we believe the Vikings are winning. I bet the Vikings money line. I think, getting plus money for the Vikings to win. I bet the Vikings money line. And so we set it as the Vikings winning because it was projected as what Vegas thought. Other than that, you can change your projections here as far as market share, target market, or TD market share, for either team, rush rate, all sorts of stuff, completion, catch rate, all those kind of things that factor into when it runs all the simulations and kind of gives you the percentages of what's optimal. It'll be based on what you think. So we plugged in what we think, and we are going to run the Sims now, and we'll see the optimal results. And then we'll see kind of where we agree. And then that'll help us go over to DraftKings and make our decisions. So as you can see here, it goes in order of total rate at top, and total rate working down. Obviously, this is salary figured in is starting at 61%, Kirk Cousins, Amon-Ra St. Brown, Dalvin Cook, Justin Jefferson, Jared Goff, DeAndre Swift, Adam Thielen, TJ Hawkinson, Jamal Williams, Justin Jackson, because he's $400, Josh Reynolds, Michael Bagley, Greg, the kickers, and then it works down from there. As far as captains, though, Amon-Ra St. Brown is the highest captain optimally by far at a 22% rate. Then followed by Justin Jefferson and Dalvin Cook around 15%, followed by Kirk Cousins and DeAndre Swift around 8%. And then you have the other guys like Goff and Thielen and Hawkinson and that kind of stuff. So, Steve, let's start there. Who is your favorite captain, price considered, or favorite captains?
So I think overall, my favorite captains are Jefferson and Amon-Ra St. Brown. We've seen multiple times this year. These are two guys who can just absolutely nuke a slate, get 35, 40, 45 points. They're, and Justin Jefferson is arguably the best receiver in the league, and Amon-Ra is shooting up those boards this year. He's just been incredible. They both have incredible target share, and they're both playing very soft secondary. So both their quarterbacks just love to throw to them in big time plays and big time downs, and they can do stuff after the catch as well. So those are definitely my two favorite. The one pivot off that I do like, especially from a price standpoint and what it allows you to do with the rest of your lineup, would be TJ Hawkinson. Obviously, you have the revenge game narrative, but since he has set foot in Minnesota, he's essentially become their de facto number two weapon behind Justin Jefferson. He's got a great target share. He's seen end zone targets, red zone targets, and yeah, there is a narrative here that he, maybe they look to give him an extra couple looks in the red zone. He's only gotten one touchdown since joining the Vikings, but you look at the targets that he's gotten since that time, it's been incredible. So the minimum of between 6 and 10 targets, 9 a couple times. So it would not be shocking at all to see him have another 8 to 10 target game and a couple of red zone targets. And if he comes down with them, he could definitely maybe not outscore Justin Jefferson, Amon-Ra, but be close enough in that kind of game script.
Right. Yeah, I agree with all three of those potential captains, and the Sims especially agree with the receivers and Hawkinson to an extent too. I believe Hawkinson captain rate was around 5%. Another guy who's slightly higher captain rate, not nearly as high as the two receivers you mentioned in Jefferson and ASB, is I want to get your thoughts on DeAndre Swift. Listen, I didn't draft DeAndre Swift in best ball. I barely played DeAndre Swift this year because he hasn't been getting that full workload. But, his price is kind of right here. I mean, on the main slate, his price is right too. But in Showdown specifically, his price, I think, allows you to do some things that if he is used as much as he was last week, he's so explosive. He has 2 touchdown upside. I kind of like DeAndre Swift to get some captain savings and then make sure that you can get both Amon-Ra, Justin Jefferson, and at least one quarterback. What are your thoughts on that?
Yeah, I think Swift is very much a similar, thought process as Hawkinson. 2 touchdown upside. Probably not going to get the bonus just because in Swift's case, he's sharing the role with Jamal Williams and even Justin Jackson to an extent lower. But he's also an explosive player. What I really love is last 2 weeks, 6 and 8 targets. We've seen earlier this year, on limited targets, he was breaking big plays. He had a 24-yard catch this past week. So it's that kind of stuff where even on limited targets, this is not like some backs who get, 6 to 8 targets and you're like, okay, they get you another 30 yards. And that's great because, that's 5, 6, 7 points, that they're getting through the receiving air. But he's got the ability on 4 to 5 catches to get 50, 60 yards and even without getting touchdowns. So I really do like that. I like Swift in that sense, in a captaincy role as well, just because I do think he offers enough savings and has the upside if he's getting in that low 20s. Yeah, I don't think he's got the upside to get 30 points, to get 35, 40 DK points because he is splitting the role. But, if he gets you 24 as your captain, and then obviously the adjustment for that and it still allows you to get Jefferson and Amon-Ra, and they're both getting around 30, and maybe throwing a quarterback as well, you're looking good.
Yeah, it's more what it allows you to do with the rest of your lineup. If as long as Justin Jefferson and Amon-Ra in the flex don't go for, like just regular score, don't go for like 40, and that you have to have them in the captain. If they more have like just like a great game but not insane nuclear game, that's where it can work to get both of them, I think, and is interesting. Mm-hmm. I'm going to go over to DraftKings now and switch screens. While I'm doing that, talk about some value plays that you like.
Yeah, so that is the one downside with these games is there is not much in the way of value plays. They've priced up, guys like Swift and Hawkinson, rightly so, and the Lions backfield is still Jamal Williams. He's still priced up because he's getting at least a touchdown a game, if not two. And a guy like Adam Thielen, who is the de facto number 2 receiver, just hasn't had it this year. Like I said, Hawkinson's kind of taken over that number 2 target role. He's still getting, 6-7 targets most games, but a lot of it short, not much in the end zone. And I just think he's probably priced a little too high for what we're seeing. Like if he's 6,600 for the flex. If he was like 5,400, I'd be a lot more interested in him.
So where do you love for
value? Yeah, I mean, value, I think both kickers are very much in play.
Agreed.
I think you can take a shot at maybe a DJ Chark or KJ Osborne, though their target shares are very questionable. But beyond that, I really don't like a lot low down. The Lions tight ends are a mess. There's just not a lot there. I mean, the two like kind of cheap dart throws, you kind of mentioned Justin Jackson earlier, just because he's so cheap, right? $400. If he gets a touchdown, and he just could allow you to do quite a lot,
right? Or a couple catches. Last week he had 5 targets and 3 catches.
Yeah. So and then the other one, and this is a complete dart throw, is Jalen Reagor. Right. Former first-round pick, traded to the Vikings. He's a punt return guy also. Maybe you get lucky there, but he'll get like 1 target a game, but he's got some juice, and maybe he breaks that into a 40-yard touchdown or something like that. I mean, but that's essentially what you're looking for.
Yeah, that's what you need. But it's definitely riskier, but it could.
But we're talking the Lions secondary that has given up some of the biggest plays all year. So
right. Right. All right. Well, again, I'm a nice sister. I'm going to let you go first. Let's build a lineup. I brought over the DraftKings Showdown slate here. And I'm going to let you pick the captain here first.
Well, I'm going to go with my captain, the revenge narrative, TJ Hawkinson.
Okay. All right. So we've got the revenge narrative already working. We've got Hawkinson in the captain. Ooh. Geez, do you think with this we can get both studs in and a quarterback?
I think so.
All right. Well, then I'll just plug in our first stud receiver, Amon-Ra St. Brown. I think it's probably obvious where you're going next.
I will go with the other stud receiver in Justin Jefferson.
Okay. You may not agree with this one because I just think salary is needed so bad. Well, let me see what this does. Because we didn't play either Jamal Williams or DeAndre Swift yet, Jackson, if we plugged him in, really puts you in a position to get a quarterback and of another viable player. What do you think about that? Or would you rather stay balanced for this lineup?
I don't hate it. I think there is a viability to it. Like you said, if he gets a couple catches, gets a touchdown, gets around 10 points,
I just really think you need at least one quarterback in this one. Some slates, I think you can get away with it without the quarterback. I don't see how this slate. I mean, I think honestly, I may do 1 or 2 lineups with the kicker and the captain, so I can get both quarterbacks. But I mean, I think this slate you're going to need at least one quarterback in the flex.
Yeah, no, I mean, I'm fine rolling rolling with it.
Okay. Well, then I'll let you pick the last pick, and then we'll leave it open, for those.
I will go with the quarterback of Kirk Cousins.
Well, I think that makes a ton of sense with Hawkinson and Jefferson. So that leaves you 7,900, which puts you in that Jamal Williams, Adam Thielen range. I think can make a ton of sense. And I like it. Any final thoughts before we get out of here? These are always fun to build together and just, kind of go through our different ideas.
No, I mean, I think obviously this is definitely the type of game where I wouldn't mind taking a couple shots on, because I think you kind of know the primary option, Amon-Ra and Justin Jefferson. Both
Right.
quarterbacks are viable, and you kind of know, with the Lions, their secondary option is kind of between their two backs, Jamal Williams if he gets that second touchdown, or Swift if he's getting a little, enough receiving work and a touchdown. And then on the Viking side, Hawkinson or Cook. So it's very cut and dry of kind of the pecking order and things like that. Yeah. So this is, some of these showdowns, whether it's like true prime time or these game of the week ones,
right,
are bad. But this one is actually fun. So
no, this is a fun one.
Couple shots.
And you made a great point. Like, the Lions running back situation is kind of like a little murky, or has been murky this season. But, generally speaking, the target share for Amon-Ra and Jefferson, they have a massive target share for their team, and you just know where the ball's going.
Yeah.
I like that, who the weapons are. It's not like these weird coaches that, will surprise you with like, a random third running back or something like that, just kills you on Showdown. So I like that. Go ahead.
Not only that, but these guys definitely have upside. This game is unlikely to play slow. I know, we didn't touch on it much, but the first game was 28-24. It was just a weird thing that
had a weird run out.
It wasn't majorly fantasy relevant. A lot of the yards are split, a lot of the touchdowns are split. But I mean, again, when teams like this are combining for 50 plus points, you're going to see some good fantasy production typically. And right. I think this time we see it. So
yeah, I like it. All right. Well, thank you guys so much for joining us. Before we get out of here, again, be sure to like this episode, subscribe to the FanSpeak Network, check out our sponsors, Run the Sims. As you can see, they help you make showdown decisions, and check out fanspeak.com for all our articles. If you're playing this showdown, we'll see you hopefully at the top of the leaderboard, and good luck this week. And we will see you next time.